Georgia is in a very unique predicament. Like, she's like, trying to...
What, you've never been on trial for murder?
I've never been married to the mayor and on trial for murder.
Hey, I'm Lindsay Stidham. You're watching First Five, where we break down the first 5 pages of screenplays and television shows, and we really dig into where the hook is, what's making those first 5 pages tick, why are we excited to keep reading. And I'm so excited because I have our first TV writers today. We've been talking features before now, but we talk about it all on First Five. And I've got Michelle Askew here today and Ifaturoti, and they are writers, and they wrote an episode of this season of Ginny and Georgia. Right now we're talking about season 3 because that's what recently came out, but I know people might be watching 1 or 2 or getting ready for 4 already. But I'm so excited to have them both here. And before we dig into the script, I love to ask people 5 facts about themselves so we get to know you a little bit before we just dive in. But we'll start with you, Michelle. What are 5
like to
facts
torture
about
people by
I like to
asking us
torture
5
people.
facts?
I mean, I'll give you 1 fact. So
Okay.
Michelle was my student at USC.
Yes, okay. I was Lindsay's student. She was my incredible professor at USC. Not sponsored. Other facts. I am originally from Staten Island, New York. I have a dog named Charlie. Shout out Charlie. Love him. I also am a director and actor. And I lit my hair on fire during my maid of honor speech at my sister's wedding.
Oh, dang.
But it's all still
on
here.
purpose. It looks great.
Right, on purpose, because I had to make the day about me.
Yeah, it looks really great. I mean, I have inside knowledge, but would you tell us briefly about the first short film that you directed and starred in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The first short film I made was called Gay-ish, and it's about a girl who goes to her college reunion and kind of rediscovers her sexuality with the one who got away. Nice. And it sounds very exciting, I hope. But yeah, it was a pleasure to write, direct, and act in it.
Yeah, and can people watch that now, or is it still doing its festival thing?
It is finished its festival run, and it is not currently available to watch anywhere. I wish I could have plugged it. But if you follow me on Instagram, I can send you the link.
Sweet, awesome. Yeah, I have 5 facts about you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd say I was born in Nigeria, raised in New Jersey, for one. I have 3 sisters, which I feel like makes me, like very professionally qualified to write about just girlhood and all the mess that goes on in Ginny and Georgia. But what else? I also have a dog, a dachshund wiener dog named Dallas. And I'm trying to think. I would say like maybe my most starstruck moment being in LA was when I was working at my first job in LA was at an agency, UTA. And I just remember like 3 or 4 days in, I'm just like sitting at a desk and like Issa Rae walks by me, like my like literal dream, like just icon, legend, and I just like shed a single tear. It was the most dramatic thing ever. But that was how I felt. Like I was like, yeah, I made it. I'm here.
Yeah, totally. That's a great LA story. Did you guys realize you grew up so close, and did you feel like you had crossed paths bizarrely before the show in any way?
Actually twins.
You're actually
we found
twins.
out.
Crazy.
No, but yeah, we didn't know before, but it's always nice to have another East Coast girl because I feel like there's kind of a, shorthand that we both understand.
A lot of overlapping experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. So we're going to talk about episode 3 of season 3 of Ginny and Georgia today. But this show is dense in like a great way. Like so much has happened. I feel like it's serialized, although I did jump in not having seen everything and was able to catch up fairly quickly. But I was just curious if you could give us like a little breakdown of what people should know going into season 3, which I know is a huge ask because so much has happened. But yeah.
Gosh, where do we start? I think like to understand season 3, you have to know where season 2 kind of ended, obviously. So we have Georgia. She gets married to the mayor. And this wedding is kind of like a symbol of her finally achieving this new life she's been running towards. Georgia's character is very much a character who's running away from her dark past, running away from her past of, abuse and victimhood. And so getting married to the mayor in this fancy town in, like Massachusetts is just like the dream. And it's all kind of ripped away from her when she's arrested for murder at her wedding, led away in handcuffs.
Yeah.
And that is kind of where we begin season 3. Another thing to know is that she's guilty.
Yeah, she totally did it.
She did it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, her daughter, Ginny, is just trying to be a teenage girl while her mom is a murderer. But she has many struggles of her own, including a very deep and moody relationship with Marcus, that they are currently friends leading into this episode. And a big question that the episode asks is, can friends dance? Can they just be friends?
Yeah.
Marcus has a twin sister, Maxine, who's also Ginny's best friend. Any other?
Yeah, I think I'd just add, like, Ginny knows her mom is guilty, and so she's trying to be, to what you were saying, she's trying to be a normal kid, but also is kind of carrying this burden of knowledge that her mom is guilty and might go to jail and doesn't know what to do, and feels that it's a heavy burden to carry as a kid. And so you have people trying to tell her, like, enjoy, like, this, there's a high school dance coming up, enjoy it, have fun, and she's like, how can I do that with all that is going on in my life?
Yeah. You guys were telling me before you got in here how grounded the teen plot lines are. And they really are. They're really lovely. And I even got some, like, my so-called life vibes a little bit, especially in, like, the...
I love that show.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Especially
Catalano.
Marcus.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, Marcus was giving me Jordan Catalano vibes in general.
Yes.
And I was...
He can't read.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. He can't dance. That's not in the plot.
But he is, like, you guys are dealing with heavy, real stuff the teens go through of, like, unplanned pregnancies and depression and stuff that I think is probably what's really drawing people to the show. But then you've also got some, like, kooky plot lines and a lot of jokes and a lot of comic relief characters. And before we dive in, I was just also curious, like, how do you balance that? It's a lot to balance in one show. Yeah.
It certainly is. Something that our creator, Sarah Lampert of the show, always says is that it's a show of big swings and small moments. And so I think that that's kind of like a mantra that we visit a lot in the room is just, how do we have this kind of binge-worthy, very entertaining, larger-than-life characters and plot lines, but while rooting it in just the emotion of kind of like a mother-daughter relationship. And what are the struggles of every mother and daughter that then are put on the most, dramatic of scale, which is hiding a secret that your mom is a murderer.
Yeah.
That we all can relate to.
Casually, yeah. I think I just echo everything Michelle said. Like, it's about, high stakes, but everyday life, right? So how do people, in the face of these kind of extreme circumstances, still try to, like, live their life and navigate the trials and tribulations of being a teenager and having a crush and, like, friendships falling apart? Those things are all still real, even if somebody is about to, stand trial for murder. So
yeah. Cool. Well, let's dive into the first 5. I may or may stop you along the way, or I might hold the questions till after, but just wanted to forewarn you. But I'm going to let you two take it away because you wrote this episode together. One more question before we dive in is how did you get together in the writer's room? How did you get this assignment? When did it come to be? And then how did you approach working on it as co-writers?
I was so excited when we got partnered together. I just feel, I feel like kind of the reluctant Gen Z voice of the room. We're not that young. But I think that it was very fun that this was a very teen-forward episode. And I think that, there's something special about, feeling like you're 16 again and being able to kind of channel all of those emotions. And Io was the best writing partner to have.
Same about Michelle.
But it's just so nice. In general, in a writer's room, like, we are sent off to write the episode so prepared, and it really is a group effort in many ways. But being able to have such an amazing collaborator is also great because you're throwing a lot of things at the wall when you're writing.
Yeah. And I think, like, in terms of timing, because your other question was, like, when did we get assigned. I honestly can't really remember. Maybe it was like a few weeks into the
All a
room.
blur,
It's
yeah.
all a blur, but I feel like we had like a few weeks of blue skying, which is just kind of like general ideas or pitches for the season. And then I think that was a point where our showrunner assigned episodes to people. And so I think it was probably like a few weeks, maybe a month into the room. And then at that point I was like, hell yeah, I got the best writing partner to tackle this episode with. So
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll let you take it away with the first 5.
Okay. Exterior, Wellsbury High, day. Spring is in the air. A montage of quick cuts. A kid skateboards. Someone shoves at someone else playfully. Kids get out of cars, unloading from a bus. A poster for tulips and tuxes, the spring dance, is on the wall next to a booth selling tulips and tickets. A guy gives a girl a piggyback ride.
Sometimes I feel like I'm watching myself perform How to Be Me, and I'm not doing it very well. Like, I miss the day when they explained how to exist.
Montage continues. A guy hands a girl a tulip and they kiss. It's similar to the opening of Pretty in Pink.
Moving all the time was hard. I was shy, but I only wanted to have friends and be cool. Not be the new girl, not be the poor girl, just be accepted. Be normal. That mattered.
Ginny gets out of her car in the parking lot and slams the door. We're in a crane shot of her back as she walks toward the school. People turn to look at her. She's definitely still the daughter of Georgia Miller.
Guess that's gone to shit.
The bell rings. Slam to titles. Ginny and Georgia.
Cool. I will stop you there briefly because everybody has such interesting opinions about voiceover. What do you love about operating within voiceover on this show and getting to be so inside a character's head? Yeah.
I would say, like, teenagers are such, like, weird creatures.
True.
And they're so emotionally, like, volatile and so also at the same time, like, withdrawn and, like, constantly trying to play it too cool or being, you know, just, like, protective of their feelings. And I think it helps us get into Ginny's head and really, like, just kind of, like, GPS where she is at the beginning of an episode, what themes she's thinking about, and without having to, you know, have her explain this to a friend when a teenager really wouldn't be this vulnerable with some of the friends that they have. It's just part of adolescence.
True. And I think, like, this show in particular, that's, like, kind of a tool that we utilize in every episode is that we bookend it with voiceover. So I think it's really nice to kind of have that structure in place that, you know, you can set up, like, the themes of what we're going to explore here and then, you know, use it in the end to kind of recap and set up for the next episode. So it's fun to kind of know you're always going to have that voiceover to start and end with.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Okay. Interior, Wellsbury High, hallway day. The John Hughes vibe continues with Ginny leaning against the locker as Maxine is hidden behind the open locker door. Don't you just love spring? The locker slams closed, revealing Max, tulip in hand. Flowers are budding, the sun is out, everyone's horny. Spring is very sexual.
Gross.
Maxine attempts to twirl Ginny. Come on, aren't you excited for tulips and tuxes? Ginny pushes her off. They start down the hall.
What is it, like prom?
We don't get a prom until we're juniors. Being sophomores sucks. All we get was stupid sophomore sleepover.
I feel like we've been sophomores for my entire life.
Preach. No, tulips and tuxes is for the whole school, even freshmen. It's like a fundraiser thing. You pay to dance in the gym.
So what makes it not like prom?
It's in the gym.
From not in the gym?
Maxine stops, cold.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Prom's not in the gym?
Maxine stops, cold. How dare she? How dare you? Frankly, how dare you? Prom's at the Ritz, or the Four Seasons, or sometimes on a yacht. Ginny's eyes widen. Maxine nods, solemn. Tulips and tuxes is more like chill. Like, you don't wear a good dress, you wear sort of like a cheesy dress, but you still want it to be good, you know?
Yeah, I'm not going.
What? You have to. Marcus joins them. Ginny blushes awkward. Max clocks it. Hey.
Hey.
Hey, I'm here too. We shared a womb. She spots Silver. Silver! She hurries off, leaving Marcus and Ginny awkward.
So, how are you?
He raises an eyebrow at her. I am good. How are you?
Shut up.
Let me know how you're doing. Feel free to circle back. Ginny hits his arm.
I don't want us to be weird.
Then don't be weird. Ginny makes a really weird face.
So, we're still friends?
I don't know. Do we have anything in common? He smiles at her. She smiles back at him, relieved.
Okay, friend. So, are you going to this dance thing? So that's a no.
Down the hall, Maxine squeals. Ginny watches her hug Silver, who's holding the tulip. Ginny smiles.
They're cute.
Marcus shrugs and takes a sip of his coffee. I'm just happy she's over Sophie.
Exterior Miller House balcony / exterior Bradley Street Curiosities Day. Georgia sits on her balcony watching with her binoculars. A delivery man drops a box off on the doorstep of 37 Bradley. Georgia takes a sip of her coffee. The door opens and the unstyled man at 37 Bradley Street looks down at the package, confused. He picks it up, clearly not expecting anything. She watches as he takes the package inside. He opens it and pulls out clothes. He looks confused. He looks for a note. There isn't one. Georgia smiles to herself. Is that all day?
Georgia swings the binoculars to look down at Ellen. Georgia removes an ear pod, and we're hit with a horrible jackhammer noise from down the street. It starts at 6 a.m. 52 Bradley is renovating their kitchen.
Ooh, what color?
Georgia picks back up her binoculars and looks. A coastal blue? I am literally watching paint dry. Georgia pours Ellen a coffee. I'm losing it. I feel like I should be productive, but I'm exhausted. But I'm also antsy. I keep feeling like I should bake something, but I hate baking. Enough about me. How are you?
I find that I'm only ever as happy as my least happy kid, so I'm never very happy.
Jenny told me she needed space. I'm your mother. You don't get to have space for me. I'm a goddamn spider monkey.
Oh, I get it. I'm supposed to chaperone tulips and tuxes, but Marcus doesn't want to go. And I don't want to see all those kids just having fun knowing that he's home by himself.
What's tulips and tuxes?
The school dance.
A school dance? Jenny didn't tell me about that. Of course, I never got to go to a school dance.
A dance?
The door opens and Lynette comes in, holding grocery bags. Lynette!
Go first five! Yay!
I chickened on the southern accent, guys. It's not in the cards.
I heard a little twang.
There was
there.
a twang. There was a hint of
Yeah.
twang.
The spirit of Georgia was in you.
Yes, Brienne Howie is queen. I can't even attempt.
I do ever try to put the accent on the page. It's so interesting to have a show where only one character has really heavy accents.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you ever do how do you try to capture that voice? Because I know it's her signature for sure.
I mean, we're so lucky that the actors on this show are next level. Like, Tony and Brienne, our two leads, Ginny and Georgia, are just absolutely incredible. And so I feel like it's really easy to write for them because, like, the character and the actors have such a clear, hold on that voice. So it's really fun to write for.
Yeah, it's really fun. I think, I feel like as I was writing, I definitely did, speak the words out loud in a bad Southern accent to see if it, does this sound right? Does this, feel like something Georgia would say? But echoing everything Michelle said, they just embody the characters so well that it's easy to pour into them.
Yeah.
We do a lot of pitching in character voice in the room. It's very embarrassing, and I'm glad it's not recorded.
It was very, very fun, though. Yeah, I mean, she's such a fun character to write for. So in TV shows, you have so many characters to service. So I feel like they're definitely different than films of, trying to get maybe that lock-in moment of the first five, whereas, you're trying to set up, okay, who's going to dominate our A plot line, who's going to dominate our B. So how do you approach the first five in a show that is servicing a lot of people and a lot of plot, a lot of very dramatic plot and cliffhangery plot? So how do you approach these early pages?
Yeah, I mean, for this specifically, Tulips and Tuxes, the spring fling dance, is such a, centerpiece of what the episode's going to be. So it's really important to kind of have that fun and kind of have that energy going in, which is definitely something that is a switch from some of the heavier moments that were in episodes 1 and 2. So kind of just coming in strong. One thing that we talked about a lot was wanting it to feel like those classic teen movies. We reference Pretty in Pink and John Hughes, and we have that shot of her leaning on the locker, and we kind of just really tried to emulate that in spirit in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I think the other thing is Ginny's arc for this episode is about her trying to kind of let her hair down as a kid, and at least in the moment just allow herself to have fun at this dance, right? And so she goes from not wanting anything to do with it to finally accepting and letting go. But we kind of establish that the beginning of that arc with this scene where we have Ginny and Max talking about the dance and Ginny being like, I don't want to go. The other, I think, really cool arc of the episode is Ginny and Marcus.
Love.
And their sweet teen love, and how they're kind of playing, this kind of little cat and mouse with each other where they're still a little flirty. They don't know how to be, normal friends. And then by the end of the episode, we get to that kiss that we're all, yearning for.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
And we,
No, I'm kidding.
but we set up that kind of arc here with Ginny and Marcus's, interaction. And so I think the first 5 pages, we really set up what the major storylines for the episode are. Even with Georgia and Lynette, or Georgia and Ellen, we see Georgia talking about how, Ginny's trying to keep a distance from her.
Yeah.
And Ellen talking about how she's worried about Marcus, and those are going to be the major through lines of the episode as well. So establishing all of that in the first 5 pages, I think we're let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And something else that we talk about a lot is we have the arc of Ginny, we have the arc of Georgia, and then we have the arc of Ginny and Georgia as their relationship. And so, even in Ginny and Georgia don't interact in these scenes, we have kind of clear POVs on how they're feeling about each other.
Yeah.
Ginny is feeling under the spotlight, everyone's looking at her because of the pressure of who she is. And Georgia feels like, Ginny's distancing herself and she wants to, her to feel normal and be able to heal their relationship. So that's something that we're always kind of trying to be very clear about the POVs up top.
Yeah, yeah. I also like that Marcus initially also doesn't want to go to the dance. So we're instantly okay, we want them to go to the dance.
Yes.
To go together. We start yearning for all of that, which is really fun. Fun arc in general this episode, and the moment that we get to see Ginny later come down the stairs in her outfit and connect her to Georgia too is such nice payoffs from the tension of that you've set up here. Kind of dovetailing into the question, this is a particularly horny show, which I love.
Yes.
We get to see, I think, more sex than in a lot of things, although it's still definitely tailored to, if you were going to watch this as a family, it still works. But
of a certain age.
Of a certain age,
I wouldn't watch it with my mom. No, kidding.
Yeah, but simultaneously, I'm a huge advocate for more sex and love over violence in film in general. I always wish there was more, but I'm very envious that you get to write on something that there is a lot of it, and I was just curious how you approach it. And wildly, I sometimes also think the relationships between the teens sometimes feel more grounded than the relationships between the grown-ups, and I wonder if that's intentional and how you service all of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot of teen relationships do live in kind of the gray areas because it's your first time in so many ways. Your first crush, your first boyfriend, your first dance. And so I think that, living in that kind of butterfly space and that raw emotion is super fun to play into. And, I think that you said that the teen relationships feel very real. And I think that, everyone had that experience at one point. Whereas Georgia is in a very unique predicament. She's trying to.
What, you've never been on trial for murder?
I've never been married to the mayor and on trial for murder. But
under house arrest.
Under house arrest. But I do think that, in Georgia's love storyline, something we talk about a lot is her trust issues, and she is a survivor of domestic abuse, and how does that play into her relationships? And so I think that we have those grounded conversations for Georgia as well.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the love and sex of it all, it's funny, I watched this episode with friends and they were like, Ayo, you're just pitching blowjobs.
I
know. Listen, it's these characters, we're living in their world. But yeah, I think teens are exploring sex. That's so much of adolescence, and I think it's what makes the show feel kind of really true and grounded is that, before you get to a place of having a really healthy relationship to sex, you have a stage where Abby's at, where you don't actually feel comfortable in your body yet, and you don't really know your sexuality yet, and you're hooking up with guys like Press who are literally like demons who snuck onto Earth. Yes. Terrible. And you don't know what's best for you, and you're still figuring yourself out. And so I think there's so many moments where people are like, oh my God, but I think their reaction comes from a place of like, this is so real.
Yeah.
That it's like almost, it's like really, I think, compelling discomfort of being like, oh my God, like I was once that awkward teenager in some way.
100%. And I think that the beauty of like having 10 episodes is that, you know, we get to do that in the first half of the season. You know, when Abby is with press, everyone watching is like, no, don't do it. But then, you know, we get the payoff of that in, I forget if it's in episode 7 or 8, but in the latter half of the season, when, you know, she tells him, like, God has a plan for me and you're not in it. Like, I love that line. And she has this, like, really healthy queer relationship with Tris and a new character, and we kind of get to see that blossom. So I think that it's fun to have so much space. It's like a big sandbox to kind of play and develop and ruin these relationships sometimes.
Yeah, so fun. You guys thrive so much on cliffhangers in this show, and I'm curious, how much do you pitch on them? How wild do you get? Do you get so many too that when you're together and working on those pitches that you save some for later and you're like, oh, these are great to sprinkle down the line? And how do you keep up that pace? Because it's, I think, sometimes hard to like keep delivering again and again crazy cliffhangers to get people to keep watching. But yeah.
It's kind of wild because, you know, we work on this for, you know, over a year, and then to create like 10 hours that people often watch in one day. And so it is kind of like a very strange feeling of trying to create something with such a quick pace.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to pitch on episode outs. Like, the episode out is the, you know, as a fan, that's what you want. And I mean, you know, I came into the show as a fan before, so it's been like really fun to get to now be part of the creation of the chaos.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's always funny because you're like, how far can we push it? And we always go much further than you ever would have imagined. But I think I feel like there's an art form to it that this show has helped me really hone and continue to hone, because at the end of the day, like, cliffhangers and kind of like twists and turns are only really compelling if it feels believable that that character would act in that way, right? So, like, again, what's it called? Spoiler alert, but Georgia's gonna fake a pregnancy to keep Paul. And that was like a huge, you know, twist that we talked about in the room, but it makes so much sense for Georgia's character. She's always thinking on her feet. She's always 10 steps ahead. She's always, you know, trying to survive. And in this very moment, she needs Paul to survive. She needs his lawyer. So she's going to do whatever it takes, even if it's morally gray. And I think that's really the real fun of the show, is that even as crazy as the twists and turns can feel, like, it always feels like, yes, this character, we've made really complex and interesting characters who have, you know, dark secrets and deep desires, and like they're always acting out of those, you know, foundational qualities and that personality that we've established for them.
Yeah, it's never just for the shock value.
Yeah.
Like, we have it kind of all planned out in a way, but then when someone, you know, pitches it, there's always that like goosebump like in the room, and we're like, that's it, it's done, like that's it.
And because at the end of the day, like, you know, I feel like viewers can really, they'll watch, you know, a show and be like, that was shocking, or what am I trying to say? I think the elements of a great twist are when it's shocking, but it also feels so in line with what that character would do at the same time. And so it almost feels inevitable. And I think that's like the really fun part of Ginny and Georgia, is that Georgia, you know, does a lot of shit, but you're like, wait, like, this is who she is. And we know more about her at every turn.
Yeah. I'm almost getting like a Elizabeth Theranos vibes. I'm wondering if anybody's like influenced by the headlines of like a woman who's going to prison, obviously guilty and pregnant. So so it feels believable. I mean, truth is sometimes stranger than fiction these days. So it feels like nothing is too wild at this point when you're competing with insane reality.
Yes, politics and everything going on.
Yeah. But in general, Georgia feels like a person that is yearning for safety but thrives on chaos. Is that an accurate description, you think, of her? Or
I think that she's constantly in survival mode. And I think that, you know, she did not grow up protected. She did not grow up in a safe environment. And so I think that she's like constantly overcorrecting to try to provide that for her children. Sometimes that overcorrection is a lot.
Yeah.
But we stand with Georgia.
Yeah, we love Georgia. And yeah, like she's a mama bear. She's just trying to do what's best for her pups. And I think, I feel like, to what you're saying, she's just always living in a world of like, I'm playing 5D chess. Like I'm trying to be 10 steps ahead of everyone. And she inherently does not believe the rules applies to her because the rules never helped her when she was a child. The system never helped her. She was abused, she was poor. So why should she play by the rules now? And so I think that's how she operates. Like it's less of a thrives in chaos, and it's more like the world is chaos. So I'm gonna do what I have to do to like survive and keep my kids well.
So 2 questions, because I know everybody has this question for TV writers. What was your story of breaking into this room? And what's it like to be in such a female-dominated writer's room?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can both say it's awesome.
Yes.
It's literally one of the best jobs ever. I broke in because I was a writer's assistant on season 2, and then I got promoted to staff writer season 3. So that was my journey. I think it's really special to me because the industry is a tough place to be in right now. Yeah. It's hard to kind of make that like conventional pathway to writing. And so to know that like our showrunner and creator were really invested in like bringing up, our support staff on the show and like really valued our voices throughout the whole process. It's a really, I hate to say rare thing these days, but it's harder and fewer to come by. So yeah, that was my journey to being a writer on Ginny Georgia.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, similarly, I feel like a lot of writers like don't have kind of the traditional story of just I got read and they liked it. So I'm very grateful to just kind of be like, that does exist. That does still happen. I had written a pilot that was, about a teenage girl in Catholic boarding school being very rebellious. That was very much in line kind of in many ways with the coming of age spirit of Ginny and Georgia. And I didn't have a ton of room experience before this. This was my first staff writer job, and so I feel very grateful that our showrunner Sarah Glinsky, and our creator Sarah Lampert, they're willing to take chances and break young writers in. We had a fairly a lot of young writers in our room, and I don't think every show is open to that, and so I feel really grateful that they're willing to lift up young women, and that it was something that definitely, was what word am I trying to say? Well, that was something that was, definitely a big part of the room.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. What I really, really love about the show is that female-driven issues are just accepted and not questioned and fit seamlessly into the show, even though everybody is in a state of high drama, but simultaneously, I feel like we don't get to talk about the things like how regular eating disorders are, how many people are suffering from depression. Not that that's an exclusively female issue in any way, but a right to choose and all of these incredible things that you're covering. And I'm sure in your room it probably also is just, this is normal, this is life. So many people go through these. But has there ever been something that on the writer's side you've had to fight for to get through the higher ups, or is there total trust between Netflix and the producers, and it's all been like, no, that we're servicing these characters in the best way we can?
I mean, I think as writers, we've always felt very supported, and the creator of the show, Sarah, has a clear vision, and it's really beautiful. And I think that in my experience, it's kind of just been a group effort to tell those important stories. All the episodes we work alongside Mental Health America, so we kind of are constantly aware that we do have a responsibility of being a show with a younger audience, or any audience, just the things you say. So I think that it holds a lot of weight, and it is a privilege to be able to tackle those issues and not necessarily have to solve them, but just bring awareness that this is a real thing that happens to teens, happens to women. And so I feel really proud of a lot of the issues that we were able to dive into this season.
Yeah.
And I think to what you were saying before about how Sarah Lampert, really talks about big swings. Like, I think Netflix knows that's like the part of what makes the show so special. And so in talking about these really, heavy and like significant issues, I think that they entrust her and us in turn with like knowing how to navigate these and knowing that we have a lot of conversations. Like the writer's room is like often just like, I love to say like a lot of yapping, but I mean a lot of really thoughtful discourse on like what does it mean if Ginny does this or that, or what does it mean for Marcus, and thinking about like for example, Marcus has addiction this season, or we realize that he's dealing with addiction, and what does it look like for the loved ones surrounding a person like that? How do they like perceive it? Because you have Max saying, Marcus needs help, and then you have, Ellen, his mom, who does love him, like afraid to like send him to rehab because she's like, I don't want him to fall behind. And those are all based on real like conversations we have about what it's like to see somebody, going through addiction as well, and like how, it actually affects the family. And so we have really, really, really thoughtful conversations, and I think that's why Netflix like trusts, that will tell really good stories.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, we always try to be aspirational in the stories we tell and, remain hopeful, but it is important to, like the example that you gave, show the real of it, because it does happen all the time. So I think that we were able to do that this season.
Yeah. Cool. Anything that I missed that you want to bring up about this particular episode or the journey of writing this together? It was so cool to have you here, especially when the show just came out again. Yes. I know we'll be a little behind when this actually goes up, but like hopefully this will get everybody excited for season 4. But yeah.
Yes. Just like the last thing I'll add is that like huge shout out to the amazing crew that like makes this come to life. We got to go to set to see this, see the dance, and it was for me a really surreal feeling, like having something you wrote on the page be brought to life, and that's because of the work of hundreds and hundreds of people. So
yeah, echoing that, it was really cool getting to visit set and to see how many people are working to create a vision that we talk about, like for a few months in the room. It starts to feel, I don't know, you talk at length, and when you see it actually coming to life, it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful for the incredible people who worked on it, and brought like tulips and tuxes to life, because it looked gorgeous.
It looked
like
so
visiting
good.
set.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I felt like I was in a high school.
I know. I was like, I didn't have a dance like this.
Yeah.
I was like, this is incredible.
I was gonna say they were like, this is like secondary to prom, but I was like, is it?
I know.
It looks like prom.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
Wellsbury is very extra. We
Yeah.
try to highlight that a lot.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if either of you had a tulips and tuxes, or you just wished you'd had a tulips and tuxes at your schools.
I didn't have like anything specifically named tulips and tuxes. I feel like we had homecoming dances, and then we had junior prom, and we had senior prom. That was
Yes. I went to only girls' school, so I had a very different high school experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of prom inspo.
Yeah.
I would say.
So you were very much getting to live vicariously then through this episode, or
Yes.
yeah.
100%.
I think one of my favorite scenes in this episode is Ginny walking down the stairs in the red dress. That's very much a callback to She's All That, and just the fun of like living in those kind of high school nostalgia film and TV world was really fun with this episode. So
Yeah. Cool. May we all have tulips and tuxes in our lives.
I hope so.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Go watch Ginny and Georgia.
Yeah, watch Ginny and
Season
Georgia.
3.
All episodes out.
Yes. Now streaming on Netflix.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so say it right to the camera.
Okay. Hey! Go watch Ginny and Georgia Season 3, now streaming on Netflix. Sorry.
Okay. Well, maybe I don't want to say it all at once, but okay, never mind.
Okay, we'll take it again. Okay.
I'll do, I don't even know. You
Okay.
can start and I'll jump
I'll
in.
say Ginny and Georgia Season 3, and then you say now streaming on Netflix.
Okay.
Co-writers.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
we're doing it right
Collaboration
now.
here.
Go watch Ginny and Georgia Season 3.
All episodes out now on Netflix.
Thanks for watching.
Nailed it.
Hey.
Yay!